Hello and welcome to Talking TSM, the Game House's talk show about TSM's LCS team. I'm Robert Haynes, your host and your guide into the world of TSM's LCS team. And guess what? You are getting 2 episodes this week. Yes, likely, if you were on this episode, you watched, episode 100A. Again, initially, this was supposed to be, one full episode, but then we kind of just continued talking, myself, Ben, and Tim, that is. And it was just an awesome episode to record and to have them on and to just, get to talk to 2 guys that I've become friends with, since starting this whole thing, 100 episodes, 101 kind of episodes now. So, with that, I had to record a new opening. So you're going to hear me say all right, as I normally do, as I head into something new. And we're going to just hop right back into where we are talking about our power rankings. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy episode 100B. All right, we got to keep moving on, though. We got 6th here. I feel like this one might be close to unanimous, so I'm going to be interested to see. Ben, where are you going with 6?
FlyQuest.
All right. I got FlyQuest. Tim? All right! Our first one!
Hey.
They're
No.
going to finish the exact same as they did last split.
And they're not bad. Like, they've got good pieces. I mean, Takui's, I think, a lot better than I thought he was going to be. I think... I'm gonna preach this till probably the day I die. I think Aframu is the most underrated LCS player possibly of all time. This man takes 80 carries and makes them look like gods, or at least much better than they were. He levels them up substantially. And Ben won't admit that I was right at the beginning of last split that Johnson would have a pretty substantial increase. He did.
No, that's not what
statistically.
You said.
Statistically, I said he'd be. Didn't I say he'd be top 5? I think that's what it was, right?
You said he'd be top 3.
Top 3?
Yeah, you said top 3.
Okay, so statistically, I believe he was, at least fantasy-wise, I believe he was very close to that.
I mean, he was good. I had him. He was good.
Points-wise, because this was, by the way, when I said this, it was purely based on fantasy points. The last time that he did play with Aframu, I think he ended up finishing 2nd in points for 80 carries. I will have to go back and check. But I am fairly certain, my friends, that he leveled up substantially in terms of points in fantasy. He was a killing machine with Aframu. He was a lot better. You can at least give me that. He was a substantially better AD carry than without Aframu. And I think, and that's more on Aframu to me than it is on Johnson.
Yeah. I think for this team, though, looking at it, it's really hard. I think this is kind of the cutoff where you say, is this a team that can really push her to 3? It's really hard for me to say FlyQuest pushes her to 3 for a world split, unless Takui, I think, takes that very next step. If he can, I think, be a top 3 mid laner, which I think we saw moments last year where you go, okay, this kid's got something. Like
no doubt.
He's got the hands to do it. But I think that's when you fall into the problem of really looking at each position. It's like, okay, who's gonna push and really carry this team to the next step? I think solid playoff team. I think middle of the road pack. I think ceiling of 4th or 5th. Maybe if someone goes crazy, they can try to push into the playoffs. But are they going to take a best of 5 off of one of the top 3 teams? And I think it's impossible to say. I think solid team, you hope maybe next year they can make 1 or 2 upgrades where you go, okay, like this team is ready to take that next step. But I feel like also we've been saying that about FlyQuest for the last 3 years. And they've just kind of been in this like middle ground. They're kind of the gatekeepers. Are you upper echelon or lower echelon? Are you above FlyQuest or below FlyQuest?
Pretty much.
All right.
Yeah.
That's where you're going to finish.
Who on this roster steps up and carries these games and is really the star of this roster? I don't think it's Johnson. It could be. But
believe, Ben.
Really No. I don't know. I think the other five teams, I feel like just have the better potential. And if FlyQuest is going to end up being the third or fourth best team in this league, I think the league has gotten worse. That's all.
Yeah,
I agree.
I agree.
I think you look at each team above this, and you can name two players that you can genuinely say, at least two, that you could say, okay, they can carry them to a championship.
Yep.
Each one of these teams, I can name two people and go, they can take that next step. They can be the one who leads an MVP type season.
That's such a good point
to win it all.
That is an incredible point. I can't even argue with you on that one. I completely agree with you. I think Takui can be that, but I don't know about a second person.
I don't think yet.
And I think Jose Dioto actually was better this split, for sure.
Sure.
And we'll see if he continues to improve. I even like Kumo. I really think Kumo is... I don't think he's amazing, but he seems like a solid LCS player. The problem is like he needs to be on a team like IMT. I think he would be a nice upgrade for a team like that. Maybe that's what we'll do. Maybe we'll do a little armchair GM next week. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Hot take, easy armchair GM for me. Philip for Kumo. Just promote Philip.
Wow, just straight up.
I like it. I like it a lot. Or there's plenty of other academy tops I would take over Kumo. I would take.
I also like Tomo.
Take Bradley. I would take Darshan. I would take Tenacity. You know, that's something we can talk about later. But I don't.
We certainly.
I think there's some easy upgrades to be made there. And I'm kind of surprised they didn't.
We are gonna end up wasting so much time at some point just going through all the academy players that I think actually genuinely deserve spots. And by the way, real quick, so I gotta give two caveats. One is, or not caveats, just I don't know, disclaimers. I'm doing like 3 shows this summer. There are going to be more coming. I will be giving my power rankings in all of them. They will all not be coming out until around the same time. If I do say anything totally different outside of where I have them ranked, please don't beat me up. You know, the second thing is I am very much pushing for an expansion of the LCS and of the LEC. And so the more talent that I see in Academy and even with these teams, I'm not even going to deny it. It's why my bias is saying that I think the LCS really has leveled up, and I want 12 teams. I think it's healthier for the league, everything. So, anyways, moving on, because I think we've wasted enough time on FlyQuest, is our 5th spot. This is one that I am, because by the way, guys, here are the teams who are left. In no particular order: 100 Thieves, C9, EG, actually this is in alphabetical order, make it even easier, TL, and TSM. Those are our 5 teams that are still left. All right. Ben, who do you have at 5? Okay.
I'm at 5. And that's being generous.
I also have them at 5. And Tim has them at 5.
They looked better towards the end.
They were so much better.
They looked better, and I think Maple will just have those games like we talked about. What FlyQuest didn't have. I think Maple is just capable of skill checking other people. Even if he doesn't look as good, I think he beats Blue and a Blaze Olive in lane just by default.
Yep.
And we'll see if they have a little bit more synergy than they had last split. I think it's totally possible for them to make playoffs this split, which feels weird to say.
Well, 8 teams make playoffs, so I would hope so.
Yeah, but they wouldn't have made it with 8 teams anyway.
No, but here's what I will say. So I'm going to give a little sports ball here, just a tiny bit, okay? So those of you know I'm from Cincinnati, I root for the Reds. They started the season at 3-22, okay? Absolutely god-awful. They have the 3rd best record in baseball over the last 23 games. They are 14-9. And have been playing really well, and they're winning 5-1 right now. I'm sure I just jinxed that, but my point is like when a lot of things are going wrong, and you like when you get into a rhythm of losing, similarly to winning, right? You're going to lose games that you probably could have won, right? Or you're gonna go on a losing streak because it's hard to get out of that mental. The one thing that I think Takeover did really well for TSM is somehow, some way reset the mental for the team. I don't think he was actually better than Kaiduo. I think he was more aggressive, but I don't know that he was necessarily more skilled. But I think he fit with the team better. He helped reset their mental, blah, 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 blah. I actually think Chowie's biggest contribution to this team was making them not practice for a week, and then just go into the games. I think that was genius by him. I'm going to make a really big argument here for TSM, and I know I'm going to get called a homer big time. I think this team can absolutely push for top 3. I think every team in the LCS has a pretty fatal flaw. TSM similarly. But when you look at this team on paper, and you look at the addition of Maple, and I've thought about this a lot. I mean, I'm sure you guys have at least listened to some of the episodes where I talked about this roster a couple weeks ago. Guys, I think Tactical's mental is going to be so much better. I think the key to it all is going to be whether or not Shenyi can be a good teammate. If he's not absolutely crapping on Tactical, they're able to find some sort of friendship or at least respect amongst coworkers. And Spica's now not having to translate for the first half of the season at all, because Shenyi clearly is going to know English well enough. We know Maple knows English well enough at this point. And you don't have Tactical and Huni just absolutely mentally boomed. And, like, Maple also brings that stability. He's been a leader on every team that he's ever been on. I legitimately, if Maple can even be 80% of his former self, I think that this team is substantially better. And yeah, I think the top 5 teams in the LCS are really strong. I think that there's a world where a team like, I don't know, like 100 Thieves or something falters to a team like TSM. And I know I'm going to eat those words when they finish frickin' 9th, and I'm going to be looking like an absolute moron. But guys, this is our time to talk about TSM, so we should take a couple minutes to do it. Tim, what do you think? I mean,
my hot take for you right now, I think Maple, even just coming in at the start of the year, is the 3rd best mid laner in the league. I think Bjergsen and JoJo's above him. Other than that, I think he's
Jensen?
I think Abadage looked suspect last year.
Yeah.
Or split. I think Jensen coming in off a break, I think we have some question marks. And I think it's like the FlyQuest argument we talked about. You really have at least 3 people. It's so hard to carry a Heaton. But you have 3 carries you really could see could carry this team.
Mm-hmm.
Spica has shown he's an MVP jungler. He's shown it. And you can't tell me he's going to be as bad as he was in that split. It's really hard to say that, because he had so much on his plate that is seemingly off of it. Maple was, whatever you want to say, was one of the best mid laners in the world not too long ago. Only a couple years ago, you really could look at it and go, okay, he can compete with the best of the best. And Tactical, as crazy as it sounds, was really that first version of Danny coming in. Like, he was that aggressive, play on that nice edge kind of AD carry. And you got the Malphite memes, but you also have ones where you go, oh my god, like, Tactical, what was that? Like, oh my gosh, you made that play. And even, I'm probably one of Shenyi's biggest detractors in the Talking TSM Discord. I have my own thoughts on him, but I think even if he takes just a slight step up, I think he has mechanical skills to be good enough to be on a championship team. You really look back in 2016, 2017 with Biofrost, biggest Bio supporter, but I think he was good enough to be such an upgrade over Yellowstar that even if he wasn't the best support in the league at the time, he was good enough for what TSM needed at the time.
Exactly.
And I think Shenyi can be this. You have 3 facilitators you can go to, 3 facilitators that can really take over any game, and I think it's just so hard for them to finish under top 5 unless something goes horribly wrong, like last year.
It could.
But it could.
And to be fair, 4 people. Guys, Huni carried a lot of games last year. When they said, hey, Huni, you're going to carry, you're going to play Jace, you're going to play, I don't know, Irelia, I think was one. Nocturne. Well,
Aurelia,
yeah. When he wants to, it's not when even he wants to, when they want to. And that's what's going to make them so scary. And you have Maple who can play all styles. He can facilitate. He can carry. He can completely support. I think we're stroking our own egos a little bit. I'm going to be honest. I get it. I get it. I really do. But, man, it is hard not to see this team and be like, wow, if last split's team could go 4-5 in the second half, all this team needs to do is win 2 more games. And they can be, they could have 12 wins. I mean, that's so, 12-8 is really good in this league. I just, I know people don't really, I think, understand them going 4-5 with definitely the worst mid laner probably in the last 3 years. There's a real, guys, I love Takeover, but the people who are calling for him to take take over the spot, I'm sorry, that was bad.
You know who you are. You know who you are.
Yeah, you know who you are. No.
Yep.
No. I appreciate the hype, but imagine if you had a good mid laner, even a serviceable mid laner. This team is just different, and I think Shenyi is gonna take another step. There's a reason why everybody's like, oh yeah, MIA or Mio. I don't know if we've decided on what that's gonna be yet in terms of his name. Yeah, he's gonna take over. Guys, they are doing that to light a fire under Shenyi. That's the only reason. That is not going to end up happening. It's just to keep Shenyi honest. So, I can't wait. I just can't wait for this roster. I really thought we were playing next week for some reason, and I've just been so disappointed ever since I figured out that it's on the 18th and not the 11th. So,
yeah. Yeah, for real.
But we got to go on to the 4th team because we have. I knew this was going to be like an hour and a half. I just knew it. The 3 of us enjoy talking to each other too much. So we got to. Yeah. We still have a lot to go, but we might have to split this into 2 episodes. At 4, Ben, who do you got?
Cloud9.
I also have Cloud9.
Yep.
Man, I really thought we were going to disagree more in the top 5. Apparently, it's the bottom 5 we had more discussion.
Yeah.
With. Listen, I actually love this roster. I love this roster.
I think Berserker is just going to be good. Mm-hmm. The only thing holding me back from putting him any higher is that we know Winsome was translating for Berserker.
Yep.
How is that improved? Are he and Zen going to be able to talk to each other at all in lane? How's Zen going to look like as a support? Those are my only questions. And if those are my only questions, I think they totally deserve me to put them where they are.
Berserker could literally play with no sound and probably still be better than almost every AD carry in this league. He is so good. He's going to be... Dude, this C9 roster... If they legitimately keep this group of 5 together for the next, 2 years, because I actually still think the one thing I will say about Jensen is even as he gets older, he doesn't get worse. Mm. He is still if Power of Evil is consistent, Jensen's that level above. Even though I wrote an article arguing differently last year when we had Power of Evil, Jensen's he's a level above him. I mean, it's just truth, and I think C9. I love that they switched back. I love the initial idea. I think it's hilarious that Summit literally won an MVP and they got kicked off the team. I find that to be hysterical personally. We all knew support was a joke. There was no chance that was ever going to work. I mean, no offense to Winsome. I'm glad he got another team. I think he's on Unicorns of Love. But,
yep.
I am hyped for this team. I genuinely think... There's a world where if this team comes together well, that they win the LCS outright and they make a really nice run in Worlds. And while I am a TSM fan, right below my TSM fandom is my NA fandom, and I think this team at its peak can go toe-to-toe with just about any of the teams we saw at MSI. Wow, you guys aren't disagreeing. I thought you guys were going to call me a moron for that.
No, I don't disagree at all.
I love it.
Funny, my biggest question with C isn't even Sven. It's just as long as Fudge can make that transition back to the top lane. Because, looking at Europe, when Caps and Perks were switching back and forth, the beginning of the split was a little rough. And I'll make the claim here. I think Sven's transition to support will be better than Huhi's was.
Oh, I think Sven, so good. I think he grinds.
He is such a smart player.
Well, and he plays more than almost anybody else in the LCS in terms of solo queue.
Oh yeah. he's just an overall smart player. I think you need that from support. I think you need just the mechanics, well, not even the mechanics, but the game knowledge that he has from having experience over in Worlds, having experience in 2 different regions in Europe, being at the height there, being at the height in me. And all that experience, I think, translates so well. The C9 roster, I think, is one where you rank it higher at the end of the splits.
Mm-hmm.
If you were making a power rankings like that, I have a team I would jump them.
Yeah, I agree. Now, we're not going to stroke their ego anymore because we don't like them as TSM fans. We're going to move on. Number 3, Ben, who you got?
Hear me out. Beginning of the split, heading in, I have EG at number 3.
Okay, hot take.
I don't know if it's that hot because we always know these teams coming back.
But they got
from
like a
MSI
3-week
have a
break
small
this time.
slump.
It's not like they only have a 1-week break like they used to.
I don't know. I think that just the other 2 teams are just going to come out of the gate just a little better. And EG wasn't even a good regular season team last split.
It's true. That is true. All right.
I don't know. I think third is being pretty generous. They're going to be a little off to begin with, and regular season they used to kind of figure out the meta anyway. Third is, I think, fine. I'm not going to say that they're going to lose all the time. They
beat
went
T1.
1-1, I think, every weekend last split.
Yeah, they did.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I think third, starting out, they will have the good international experience, and I'm really excited for them moving forward. But first weekend, second weekend, I think TL and 100 Thieves are probably going to look a little better.
I just want to say EG is basically the team of our dreams, Ben. Almost.
Mine specifically.
Oh, yeah.
I was here last season on this podcast saying, here's what you need to do, EG. And they almost did exactly what I said.
You were right.
They were close.
They were very close.
I like the inspired over Kenby when we were looking at that whole 100T Academy buying out a lot of them.
That was genius.
Great.
Yes.
All right. I had 100 Thieves.
Okay.
I also had 100 Thieves.
Okay, so then I'm going to guess, Ben, you have 100 Thieves at second, don't you?
That's
Okay,
right.
so then we'll talk about 100 Thieves real quick. So, here's my thing with 100 Thieves. I actually think this team is still very good. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, people who are like, oh, this team's bad, blah, 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 blah. You're dumb. I'm just going to say it. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be toxic, but you're just dumb. This is still a very good team. Let's put it this way. Tenacity is going to be one of the next great LCS players. And Someday was so damn good, he kept him from getting a single game. 100 Thieves fully, I'm telling you right now, and I haven't heard this for sure. 100 Thieves, in my mind, fully intended for Someday to play through the first half and then Tenacity to take over. I think that is just the absolute near factual matter in my brain, in my headcanon. This team is very good, I think. The weird thing is just for some reason there is a mental block that keeps them from doing anything more than winning what they did last split. They actually remind me of old TSM teams. They're very talented. They're talented in all the areas that count. They have the veterans. All of them are veterans now. You know, I mean, even FBI and Closer are still kind of older now. But what I love about this team more than any other team right now in the LCS is the fact that 100 Thieves has committed to these 5 and is stuck with them. This will be their third split in a row, which is, I believe, potentially a record in the last 5 years. I don't remember a team having 3 splits in a row with the same 5 starters. You did really, maybe TSM, but it would have been longer than that. No, they definitely didn't. No, they definitely did. I don't know if there has been a team. We need to look this up. Has there ever been a team? Even TL was switching after 1 year because they kicked out Pobelter right away, right?
So they had Pobelter for two splits. Then they had Jensen for 2 splits.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't even be that. And then we have the whole tactical setting for Double F, which is a weird. I don't know if you want to call that the same roster or not. I don't know. I'd have to.
D9 maybe? Did D9 have 3?
Early C9 maybe. But even then, they didn't they get rid of balls for.
Not recently. Oh, are you talking about back in 2015?
We should do this. This is worth looking up. All I'm going to say is that this is worth looking up because that is how significant I think that this is. And one thing I think that kills every team in League of Legends is there's just too much roster movement. There has got to be a time where teams just say, hey, I'm going to stick with this team and I'm going to ride it out and they will figure it out. The talent for most of these teams, especially top teams, are there. Sure, could you maybe get one person that will upgrade? Absolutely. But we've seen it time and time again. It takes these teams time to warm up. And then once you get to best of fives, it's like a totally different thing. And a lot of these teams will lose because they haven't worked together in a best of five. So, I know I have them third, but I do love this team. I really do.
I think looking at that too, I think that's something. It's kind of the opposite of what I expected when franchising happened. When
Yeah.
I figured you would have these bottom tier teams who would just go, okay, we know we're not going to be good enough this year. We know we do not have the fire. Let's bring in some young guys and see what we can develop. And we just haven't. Seen,
it's taken
we just haven't
CLG
seen
5 years, and they still have never done it fully.
Exactly, and based on 100T, I think it's almost like the fly quest of like the top tier. They have just solid players along the board. Third in their position, fourth in their position, second in their position, maybe. No one's probably going to be top of the league. You might have someone compete for an MVP, but they're just a solid team. It's so hard to rate them lower than fourth unless you just saying, hey, here's my hot take right here. This team is gonna fizzle out. And who knows? TSM, no one thought they were gonna be ninth this year, and they were. But it's so hard. Just how solid that 100T roster is.
Well, and I think this allows us to move on to second, which we already know Ben's with 100 Thieves. Mine is Evil Geniuses. Okay, and mine's for the same reason as Ben's. I think they're gonna have. I was just trolling you, Ben. I agree with you. I think that they are gonna. I think they are gonna struggle a little bit coming back. But I fully, and I will state this right now, I fully believe that they will be the best team in the LCS come the end of the year. Dude, this team is so damn good. They're so damn good, and they're so young.
They know what they do. Yeah, they know how they want to play. They know what their players are good at.
Yep.
And once they start playoffs and they figure out their meta strategy, they just play it, and they play that style better than anyone else. It's hard to really say that they won't make worlds. It's hard to say that they won't make finals. I don't know. I would be hard pressed to say that they fall to fourth place in playoffs, especially because it's 8 teams, double elimination. As long as you're not 7th or 8th, I think they'll absolutely get there again. They have the talent and they have the hands to do that.
Yeah, and I think the most important thing you saw at MSI was their ability to adapt with the meta. I think that was such an important thing because coming in, if you remember, one of the first games they played was a Samira bot.
Yep.
And Samira just was this champ that everyone thought, oh, this is going to be the strongest bot laner. And people realized it pretty quick. And we've seen NA teams, though, just go, oh, well, Samira was great in scrims. Like, we keep playing. This has got to show up on stage, and it doesn't. And I think that's where you've seen something out of this team that you haven't really seen out of an NA team. That you've seen LEC teams, LCK teams, LPL teams, willing to adapt as a tournament goes along. And I think we even saw that a little bit last regular season as they were kind of ramping up the playoffs. You started to see some adaptations, and the biggest, and it's stretching for it, the biggest thing you really just need to be careful with is JoJo trying to make hero plays when he doesn't need to, and he has the hands to compete with world-class mid laners, so that's not really a problem.
Crazy.
And if it's not a meta where Danny can be on a hyper, and it's really hard for there not to be a hyper carry in the meta. So it's pulling at straws, but it's just this team is just so good mechanically. It's so hard to see them faltering.
Well, and let's give a little justice. And when we interviewed this player at LCS finals, they didn't outright say it, but they basically said it. Inspired, in my opinion, might be the best player in the LCS still. And I know that, people are going to be like, dude, you're dumb. And I'm going to say, did you watch the playoffs? Did you watch the regular season? And did you watch MSI? There was not a more consistent player, a person who could pop off when he needed to, the one who could facilitate where they needed him to. That pickup, and I think I said it to you guys even last year, was, or at the beginning of this split at least, that's the biggest pickup I think an LCS team has had outside of Bjergsen, maybe ever. Like, I'm already ready to say that. I think he is so unbelievably underrated. And I'm talking about, like, pickup outside of LCS, by the way. About Core JJ. Core JJ, too. Core JJ, too, obviously.
Well, once Wonder gets his second title,
yeah.
See, for me, it's like, but we picked up Core JJ after he was a world champion, right? Like, after he was theoretically, not obviously, but people thought he was past his prime already, right? And he had struggled while younger, right? Trying to figure himself out. Inspired has been good since day one, and somehow the LEC was just like, nah, we're just going to let him leave. Like, they're going to regret that for a very long time, because I don't see why he'd ever leave NA at this point, because he's going to get paid more here, and he's going to continue to win. That man is so good. And the fact that they were able to show that Evil Geniuses are... I could gush over this team for hours, man. They can win without Danny carrying. They can win without JoJo carrying. They can win through Inspired. They can win through Impact. Vulcan can make... when Vulcan is arguably the worst player on the team and he's the second best support in the league, that is unbelievable. And JoJo's abilities and the way that he played at MSI, I think he was their second best player to Inspired. But, like, dude, this team, the core... When you have 3 core players that are, like, one just turned 19, but they're basically 18 and younger... Yep. Bro, EG should just be shelling out. I don't care. You keep Vulcan. You figured out if Impact is staying in the league or not. Like, I'm making this prediction right now. If EG go out and they sign Tenacity, they better just sign these players to 10-year deals and just never change, because they will run the LCS for years.
I don't know if that's legal yet. I don't know if they can do more.
No, they can't. They can't do more than 4.
Yeah.
I'm exaggerating, but, like, I do think that you sign them to as long of term deals as you can, and you pay them a lot of money, because you're going to earn a lot of money. And if the LCS is intelligent, I mean, again, I love TSM, but, like, if the LCS is smart, dude, you put in as much money as you can to making sure that those 3 players specifically, Inspired, JoJo, and Danny, are exemplified as much as possible. And that's why I have them second currently.
they should be the future of the league. They should be
absolutely.
future stars. They should be the next 3 years, Bjergsen, Doublelift, Sneaky. They should be those next ones where you just say their names and you know, like, hey, they're the best at their position.
Yep.
They are who run the show, like, from now on.
Oh, I love that team so much. And yet, we all have Team Liquid above them.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. Let's quickly give TL where their due is. Dude, this team is so good on paper. And, again, I'm excited for Worlds. I know somehow we're going to mess it up. But, dude, when you send EG and TL and then one of those other 3 teams to Worlds, dude, like... LEC better watch out. I am dead serious. Like, I know G2 stomped all over EG, whatever. Fine. But I'm going to just tell you right now, it doesn't matter if it's Mad Lions, it doesn't matter if it's Misfits, it doesn't matter if it's Fnatic. Well, maybe Fnatic. Fnatic's really good. But, like, you know, everybody else, right? Like, it doesn't matter. I think the LCS is going to be ready to come and play. And, like, I think EG showed everybody that at MSI. Again, G2 memes aside, and I do still think that G2 technically performed better just because of the one-on-one matchup. But if you ask me, like, in terms of skill by the end, I think EG had surpassed G2. I think there's a world where EG take T1 to 5 games too, by the way. I think there's a world where they take RNG to 5 games. They should have won game 2 and 3. They really should have. They had those games at certain points in the bag. They did. I was watching that almost dead asleep, but I remember watching most of it to the point where I was sitting here. I was like, dude, this team can fight, and if RNG wins this whole thing, people are gonna be looking at EG and NA a lot differently. And I know this isn't about continuing to gush over EG, but like, if they're our second best team coming in, then you can't tell me that NA hasn't gotten better. I won't believe you. And when you look at the roster of Bwipo, Santorin, Bjergsen, Hansama, and Cordier, Bwipo was popping off at the beginning. People figured him out a little bit, but like, once he learns to adapt a little bit more with his team and stuff, that's not going to happen again. You know, Santorin, as long as he's healthy, he's going to be great. Bjergsen was just warming up, fam. I'm just telling you now, that was not even close to real Bjergsen, and he still was the best mid laner in the LCS.
Yeah.
And Hansama wasn't really good either, or Core JJ. They actually struggled, I think, most of the season. You give them a little more time to like work together, dude. This team is horrifying. Like, I'm pretty sure TSM is going to get swept, and it's not going to be close both times against this team. That's how good I think they are. Sorry, you guys can go now too. I love this team too.
I mean, it's just like you said, that Wilbo got kind of figured out. Hans didn't play that great. Santorin had health issues. Bjergsen was warming up. Mm-hmm. They still only lost 4 games.
Yep.
And half of those were in the first 2 weeks. I don't think that this team, they've had more time to gel. They've had more time to work with each other and rest and really get a good head start. I wouldn't be surprised if they were better this split than last split. And that's kind of, it feels weird to say because they only lost 4 games, but it seems almost like, yeah, obviously they're going to be better than last split, which would put them in one of the best performing splits we've ever had in the LCS if you win 3-2 or lose 3-2 or 1 games. I don't know. It just feels kind of obvious to me that TL is going to look the best starting out and probably for the rest of the split. They're going to be in the finals, probably. It's still crazy that they weren't in the finals.
It's so nuts. That's so crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just kind of clearly Team Liquid for me for first.
What else can you really say? I mean, just mechanically, I think they might be the best team LCS has ever had if you really look at it.
Yeah.
For JJ, top support in the league, what he's done for NA.
Ever. It's not even close.
Ever. Hans, you can make a case anytime for him to be the best AD carry in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I think he takes that next step forward, and he was already probably the best mid laner last year.
Yep.
Santorin is, and it's crazy to say, but you think maybe you can upgrade a little bit, but that's just because NA junglers is probably in the best spot it's been ever. Really looking at it, you have 6 or 7 true, like, hey, these guys can compete for top 3 junglers. And Bwipo, as long as he's not flipping the wrong side of the coin, I mean, he's got probably the best mechanics of any top laner in the league, especially now that Summit's gone. Like, this team is just great. Like, I think if they are not your favorites to win LCS, it's EG maybe, but it's still hard to say anyone but TL winning LCS next year or this year.
That's where I will disagree. I truly still believe EG. I'm just gonna say I just think that the one weakness that TL has is if somebody is at a similar skill level as them in lane, they struggle with very intense aggression and constant fighting. And that's been a TL and TSM NA really faltering staple, right? Is the struggles of being able to match aggression and being able to match movement around the map when teams are kind of just being a little erratic. Not like bad erratic, but calculated erratic. That's my only reason why I have EG over them, is because I think, like, let's put it this way. I think EG at MSI were going to be better than TL strictly because, like you said, they adapt. They don't care what playstyle it is. If it becomes a slow meta, they'll play slow meta. If he becomes a super fast divey meta, they'll play that. Assassin meta, they'll play that. TL, while I know they can play it, we all know there's not a team that's going to beat them in the late game if they have their full time to level up. And I mean, guys, let's be real. Like, lane by lane, right? Impact versus Bwipo. They about even out. Bwipo's better, but like they about even out. Inspired's better than Santorin. I will hear no words about it.
I agree.
Jojo, Pion, and Bjergsen, as much as it's blasphemy to say this, and I may not say it if he was on TSM, gonna be honest, but they even out at a minimum, I think. At a minimum. I think Jojo will eventually be better than Bjerg is now. I don't know about Bjerg at his prime, but Bjerg now. I think Danny, again, I don't think he's better than Hans Sama, but I think he can be. And Core JJ and Vulcan are the two best supports, with Core JJ being better. I mean, you just go head to head, right? And it's like in lane, maybe TL has a bot lane advantage. Maybe. But even then,
I would say in lane, yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And so
in lane, yes.
But
I think defend.
And that's where I think that EG wins, is the fact that they're able to go even in lane. That's where TL normally gets their advantage. Is they're just better laners generally, and then they can translate that into slow games of being better, bleeding their opponent to death, and then winning in the late game. Dude, this EG team won't let it happen. I'm just telling you right now. They will go for and we saw it during playoffs, I think. I mean, I really do. I mean, like that first Baron play by Danny absolutely exemplifies, in my mind, why these teams are different. And it threw TL for a loop. These 5 guys who have the absolute mentals of like titanium mentals. And Danny makes one play that is just should never happen. And they're done. They're going to learn
also,
from it. But yeah.
I think the biggest flaw of TL is the flaw of 2016-2017 TSM. They are the best late game team fighters in the league. But if they're up against somebody who can compete with it, just like we saw on the international stage, just like we saw in playoffs last year, that is where they can get beat.
Yeah.
When they don't have those just natural leads from being just better mechanical players than players in the LCS, which I think it's better this year because the LCS, I would say, is exponentially better than even it was in 2016-2017. You look at some of the players playing in 2016-2017, you go, oh my gosh.
Yep.
What was going on then?
Yep.
I think that is where, like you said, I think EG can come in, maybe compete with them, or even like 100T or C9, maybe TSM, but 100T C9, if they continue to gel, continue to grow, and we'll see.
I'm just so excited about the LCS. And I think, this is definitely going to end up being a 2-parter. We'll just probably release one Monday and release one Tuesday since we have a bit of a break. So I'll take an extra few minutes because I know we're all staying up anyways. We got to talk about our fantasy league here in a few minutes anyways. So I want to quickly end it with a quick discussion about the LCS and then the Academy scene real quickly, if you guys are willing. This is a little off topic, but
yeah, it's fine.
Our power rankings were great. I hope you guys enjoyed them. But I genuinely believe this is the best place the LCS has ever been in, and I believe you can see it in the Academy leagues. And I specifically am extremely excited about the top lane in Academy. I think Concept is still very underrated. I like Philip. I like Surdy a lot. Darshan may get his chance one day. I don't know. I think he kind of likes where he's at, to be honest with you. It's a lot less stress, and he can still be a part, and he can still play and get paid. One day, that man is going to end up being one of the best coaches the LCS has ever seen, by the way. Just putting that out there. I think Tenacity is a beast. I think 100 Thieves Academy, God bless. Tenacity, Will, and Busio alone. You're like, those are the 3 best players at their respective position. You look at even C9. I've heard Shiden, I think that's how you say it, is amazing. Copy is still great. Poor King will just never be anything more than an academy.
Yeah.
But he's still good. Bradley is amazing. Armeo will he is the best backup that TL could ever hope for. Honestly, for if Santorin ends up having another like migraine issue, you know he can step in, do what you need him to do. I think Harry is still underrated. I love Jan. I love Ayla. Ayla's going to get a chance. Like, right there, we've already named 2 teams that could probably compete with CLG and Golden Guardians, just by the way. Yeah. We continue this. Tomio is solid. Saligo's looked better. I still don't really care. But Kaori. Oh, boy, Kaori. And you give him Smoothie and like an LCS level support. He's not good anymore, but he's played it plenty. Oh, man, that's great. Hey, shit. I mean, you could just go on and on. I mean, I don't know how Diamond keeps getting a job. They must just like him as a person, which is fine. But, Tomo I still think is super underrated. We talked about the Golden Guardians one. Even Dignitas getting XU and Insanity. I think Insanity is still underrated. CLG Academy is bad. They're going to finish last, except for Breezy. I like Breezy.
Oh, come on.
Dude, they're bad. You and I both know they're bad.
Meech is not bad.
Okay, Meech is... I don't know enough about Meech to say anything.
I don't know enough about Kevy. I think Jenkins is whatever. Triple was fine last split. Meech was fine. Breezy was fine. They were top of the table last split with bad. Rosethorn and Dokla. So, bad. I think they're not going to be bottom of the table.
I know. I know. I just don't like it. I just don't understand it. That's what I will say. I don't understand it. I don't know really anything about Vital, but I've heard that people like 2 Vital, or well, now Vital. I don't really know. I've heard anything.
I'm not sure.
I like Chad. I still don't understand Pretty. I don't understand Arrow. I think they just want the rights to that new show that's coming out with Arrow in it. Joey might be the most confusing person on all of this. How he continues to get a starting position at either level is shocking to me. I just never thought he was very good, and then when he made the change to support, I was like, sure, you might be better, but I still don't get it. And then TSM Academy, you throw out Hyper, you throw out Takeover, you throw out Mia, but Anime Girl and Instinct, man, boy, oh boy.
I think Soul has a very high chance of starting for TSM in the next 2 years.
Oh,
easily. I really do, because he's bilingual, and I think if TSM even holds on to this Chinese thing just a little bit, Soul is absolutely what they're going to be filling in.
Oh, no doubt.
It makes so much sense. If he's not terrible in Academy, I think there's a really good chance.
Oh, I can't wait. What a great signing. What a big freaking brain signing. And again, we're gonna leave this off here in just a minute, but guys, I mean seriously, like, we just named 20 players down in Academy that I think could challenge lower tier spots in the LCS without blinking an eye. There were a lot of years where we would not say that. The people who do not want to give proving grounds and everything else their chance. Now, I am a big stan for the former head of the LCS, Chris Greeley. I spent a lot of time with him when we were at the LCS finals. I got a good interview that has yet to come out, mainly because of technical issues and audio issues, but it was really good. I ate breakfast with him the next day. He is just the nicest dude, and he has envisioned this whole thing. And I'm just telling you, obviously other people did too, but he really, really felt strongly about building out the lower parts of the LCS, and we're starting to see it. And I think EU specifically should be really scared, because that was everybody's biggest thing. Oh, EU's got all this talent pipeline and everything. Bro, you should be watching what NA is doing right now. I mean, and a lot of these players we named, by the way, are young NA players. We're not talking about Oceania or Latin America, some regions that we used to steal from. I mean, if you put together, I'm just going to quickly go through this, a team of Tenacity, Will, Copy, K-Warrior, well, K-Warrior's from a different one, so America, I don't know, Array or Instinct, and we'll go Busio, right? That's a good team. You can substitute tenacity for Bradley, right? I mean,
Yeah.
like you can substitute Bradley and tenacity for Soul. I mean,
I don't know about that. Not yet.
not yet, but eventually, right?
Maybe one day.
My point is, fam, is as we finish up this 100th episode of Talking TSM, the LCS future is very bright. I think these two fine scholarly gentlemen would agree with me. And I think I'll let you guys get a couple things in here too before we head out, but I think that that's what's most exciting about the LCS right now. Is there will be players who will be able, and there will be teams put together that will be able to challenge the likes of Evil Geniuses and TL in the future. And even 100 Thieves, should that team continue to stay together. And even C9, because that team is actually still pretty young overall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think EG winning has done much more for the league than we can really tell right now. I think it's going to be obvious that team owners will see, it's cheaper. I'm sure promoting Jojo Pyun cost a lot cheaper than Jizuke did.
Yep.
I'm sure Danny did not take a huge salary when he got promoted from their amateur team.
Yep.
And all of these teams, the CLG just started their amateur team this split, and they're not looking bad. EG just retooled their entire amateur roster, and they're not looking bad. 100 Thieves too. There is some names in those tier 3 teams that I'm already looking at, and they've only played a few stage games, and I've never heard of them before, but I can already tell that there's something there. All the other teams should be doing this, and I hope that they are by 2024. They all have amateur teams, and they all really need to be seeing, even just from a business perspective, if having Soul in over Huni is going to save you money and really get those really, really good imports, perfectly fine with me. I think that's where the league needs to go to be sustainable and really move towards the future. And even just from a talent perspective, from a money perspective, something's got to change. Otherwise, these bubbles are going to burst.
Oh, it's coming, fam. There are a lot of teams that are not set up for the future at all. And the LCS is probably the only profitable esports league in the world. I should say League of Legends esports. Sorry, it might be the only profitable one for these teams, and you're already slowly starting to see it. I had somebody tell me a major Korean org was running out of money. It's not T1, by the way, so you don't have to worry about that.
There were those rumors that RNG is kind of low on money at the moment, and they just won MSI.
Yeah, so. Because things are going to reset, fam, in the esports world. It's coming real soon, and with a recession coming in the United States, not to get too geopolitical, but there's a reckoning coming, and the teams that weren't smart enough to think ahead of it, which is part of the reason why I think TSM is setting themselves up really well, even with all the stuff that they're losing. You're going to see it, and the LCS is going to probably need to open up another 2 spots just to help try to sustain the league. I think you're going to see 2 $20 million buy-ins. That is my guess at the next bit of money that'll be bought in there.
I think it'll be in.
No, you go.
Yeah, I was just saying, I think that's important to continue that probability of the LCS, just displaying this new talent. Again, showing that the EG formula can work. Is it going to be perfect every time? It's really hard to get 2 prodigies, Danny and JoJo, but it shows that when you can find these players, they can be that next Bjergsen. It could be that next Double It. It could be that next face of the league and set up your team to jump into that upper echelon. Evil Geniuses took that jump, and now they're right up there with orgs like TSM, like C9, just in the face of the LCS. How excited people are for these teams and the long-term growth that comes with it. And I think that's so important for the league.
Couldn't have said it better. You guys got any last thoughts before we sign off here?
Join the Talking TSM Discord. If you don't agree with anything we said, join the Discord. Tell us all about it.
Flame us.
Yes. We've started 2 leagues already. I know we've talked about doing fantasy stuff, you want to join that, let us know. Thank you, Robert, for having us on for sure. We've had a lot of fun with this, and we can't wait to take over the podcast coming up in the next couple weeks. But no,
it's happening.
It's been great.
Nah, I genuinely couldn't do this without the support of these two. They've helped me recognize how much I enjoy this. They've been huge supporters, like I said, from day one, and they help fuel the fire that is me babbling on about TSM. So I appreciate the two of you for real. This has been awesome. And with that, it's time to sign off, boys. If you like the show, please take a second to like, subscribe, and comment if you're watching on our YouTube channel. Hit that bell icon so you don't miss another episode. Also, I want to continue to make this the number one TSM podcast, LCS at least, on all podcasting platforms. Please leave a review if you feel so inclined. Let us know what you think about these two lovely gentlemen. Share this with your friends. You can hit me up on Twitter at TGHRobertHaynes and the Gamehouse at TGH Esports. Lastly, head to thegamehouse.com. Check out all of our different content. I'll have some power rankings and other things coming out here very shortly. With that, thank you for the 100th time for tuning in. This show comes out every Monday during the off-season and is exclusively for your TSM earholes. I'm Robert Haynes. I've been joined by Ben and Tim, and this has been Talking TSM. I'll see y'all next time.